What's up, everybody? Jacob Cow here, aka Bro Yogi, and that's the channel you're on. And I want to talk about why you are in pain and you're not feeling good. If you are in pain, first of all, the concept that you need to understand is you actually aren't in pain. It's your ego. And when I say ego, I don't mean arrogance, like he's got a big ego, I don't have a big ego. The ego is the part of you that's separate, that has created this identity of separation. It's really your operating vehicle in the physical world. So essentially, your authentic self, then your ego. So you can notice yourself. You can notice your thoughts and your emotions and your moods and your reactions. And therefore, all of those things aren't really you. So if you create that separation and say, whoa, I'm acting up here, or I'm upset right now, you're observing your own state of being. That state is usually because of the ego. If there's a ripple in your mind, in your well-being, it's usually because of the ego. And your ego is your constructed self, essentially. So for me, it's Jacob Cow from Chicago. And then on and on and on. And the more you identify with things you like and dislike, or traits about yourself in the physical world, the more you identify with that emotionally and anchor yourself in those things, then the more pain your ego can possibly go through. So essentially, let's say this. You are attached to your favorite sports team. I'll pick the Chicago Bears because, first of all, they haven't won in a long time, right? And I'm from Chicago. So the Bears, if you're emotionally attached to them, you want them to win so bad. And you're not a part of the team at all. You're just a fan, which is fine. But many people anchor their well-being into these things. So if you anchor your well-being into the Bears, especially the Bears right now, you're not going to be so happy because they're going to keep losing. Or if they lose a game, you're upset. So those things are ego-based. What I like and I dislike. Don't ever say that to me. The I in your life, the letter I, me, can cause you a lot of pain. First of all, because it's already establishing the separateness from this source force of energy that's everyone and everything. And I talk more about what the source force is in a different video, which it's too profound to really touch on now. But essentially, everything in this world is one energy field. And if your ego is reinforcing this separateness, it's an illusion. Therefore, this illusionary state will cause you pain. How did the ego develop? So when an infant you can see in their eyes, they're laying there, they're in bliss ultimately. They're very clean slates. Relatively soon after birth, the infant develops this ego because it develops this sense of I am separate. Usually at the first it'd be I am separate from my mother, and therefore I'm separate from everything. They start to realize this separateness in the physical world. This is because of the five senses. The five senses are essentially your ego. So your five senses have led you to believe that you're separate. So if I am here and I can see over there, right? Me and over there. My sight has led me to believe that I'm separate from that thing. And even touch. when you're touching something and when you're touching something else, right? That sense can give you the idea that you're separate. And so on. But if you recognize the senses, first of all, that nothing happens outside of yourself. When you see something, it's the light reflecting off of that thing. And therefore, you're seeing it right here. You're receiving it here. So everything you see right now, this video, recognize where you're seeing it. Well, I'm seeing it on my computer screen. But that computer screen, if you shut your eyes, is over, right? You don't see it. You're seeing it right here on your eye, which is within yourself. When you do this, when you hear, where are you hearing my voice right now? In the internals of your ear. When you touch something, you're actually feeling the sensation on your hand or anywhere in your body. So when I touch this marker, I'm really feeling the sensation through my hand, through the senses in my hand. I'm not feeling the pen, really. Feeling how the pen could feel like, but you're feeling on your hand. I believe the Buddha said, when your foot touches the ground, you feel the foot. And then smell, that's an obvious one. It goes in your senses and you're experiencing it within yourself. And what's the last one? What did we not talk about? Sight, smell, taste. Taste within yourself. That one's pretty easy. And also, you're not even touching the food. It's same aspect of the marker. So, these things that are outside of your physical body seem to be separate. You seem to be separate. But in reality, you're only experiencing yourself the whole time. Consciousness is emitting from you, and your consciousness is creating all of this. So really, in reality, and this may be a profound thing to grasp if you haven't experienced this, or especially if you haven't experienced deeper meditation states, or really had a direct experience with this. You're not separate. We're all one energy field. And the more you reinforce the separateness, this idea of separateness, then it's going to be easier for your ego to keep you in pain. So your ego is like, me, I never do that. I don't eat this food. I always eat this food. When you define yourself too much like that, it's going to cause you pain because you start to lean on things. I will never leave the United States. I love America, right? And you can love America. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. You can love the Bears. You can love America. You can love your religion, ethnicity, age, height, gender, sexual orientation, anything that you're identifying yourself with, even your name, favorite color, favorite movie. You can like these things. The senses are meant to be tools, and you can certainly enjoy these things. But when you're leaning on these things, that's when it becomes unhealthy. When you like a character in your show and they die in the show, and you physically feel emotional about it, and you're actually upset, that's a sign that you are leaning too much on the external world. When you're anchored here, you can enjoy the show. You can be shocked, but your day won't be affected. Your week won't be affected by the outcome of that, which has no existential relevance to your life and your well-being. So try to stay away from things that are going to sway. The ego is like up and down and ups and downs and ups and downs. The ego likes that a lot. The ego likes to like drug usage all the time. You're on a high, you come down, kind of like that. And you don't even need to get that from drugs. A lot of sensual pleasures are up and downs. And if you're not anchored in yourself, these sensual pleasures can cause a wave in the calm ocean that is you. You are the calm body of water. The ego causes these ripples and therefore upsets the water. So your senses are meant to be tools. And for example, food. Food is a huge one, and I love to use as an example because it makes the most sense. Your senses are going to convince you that to eat something that tastes good. You're eating based, that tastes great. Okay, that's fine. And certainly you can find fruit to taste great and be healthy. But a lot of times your senses are programmed in order to eat certain foods that you think taste good. That could be tied to your emotions years ago. So something happened when you were a child, you were emotional, your parents said, don't be emotional, have a Coke. Or, let's go to McDonald's, get a Happy Meal. Okay? Because of that, now, even today, that Happy Meal, or McDonald's itself, or that Coke, represents something of a wound that happened to you early in your life. This is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind holds associations from years past. And you could be making decisions today based on way in the past, deep in your subconscious mind. And I'll talk about the subconscious mind in other videos because it's such an important topic to grasp because of example I just gave. The senses, to overcome the subconscious mind and the senses, present moment awareness. When you're aware in the moment, you make the right decision for your well-being. You say, I'm doing this for my well-being in the moment. I'm going to make the conscious decision. I'm going to make the right decision. So food is fuel. And therefore, when you eat well, you feel well. When you eat the right things based upon what's going to make you feel better or a goal, like a bodybuilder eats different than someone who's trying to cut weight. But also, he could be cutting weight, he could be gaining weight, depending on the season for him or her. The bodybuilder is going to eat in a certain way. Other people, if someone's right where they want to be, maybe they eat lighter. They eat just to feel good, just to feel light and focused. Someone in a labor job could eat different than someone in an office job. But all of these people, a lot of the people are eating based upon taste. Strictly taste. I'm not telling you to abandon taste, and I'm not telling you that healthy food like vegetables doesn't taste good. It could be wired against you, like your ego doesn't like vegetables because of a decision you made years ago. And therefore, it could convince you that it doesn't taste good. Someone else could say, I eat for taste and I eat veggies. That's fine. You're a lucky person. Most people who are eating for taste eat food that is not in line with them feeling good at all. In fact, the opposite. So your senses are making the decision for you. If you could take a step back and realize that maybe it's not a good idea to eat this food because I feel better eating this food and I'm prioritizing feeling better. Because notice when you eat a big meal like pasta and bread and a lot of cheese and you get dessert, notice that I've eaten at a lot of Italian restaurants and that's exactly what I get. We load up on bread. I get pasta, maybe a dessert, maybe an iced tea with artificial sweeteners. And I'm so excited for that meal all day, right? I've done this. many times. I'm excited for the meal, and 3 minutes into me eating, my belly starts to get full, my stomach's full, and I say, what am I doing? And now it feels heavy, and now I feel like not good the rest of the day. So, if I was conscious before that, I can stand back and say, okay, I don't need that second side. I'm not even going to enjoy it. Even if I do enjoy it, it's 3-4 minutes. Maybe 20 minutes. Even if it was an hour you enjoyed. Your well-being is sacrificed. Even throughout the next day, some of the food stays in your system for a very long time. So, I'm using the food as an example of your senses can either decide for you, or you can use the senses as a tool. That's what the senses are for. Tools of operation in this physical world. When you lose control of the senses, they start to make decisions for you. And usually, because of the subconscious mind, they're not going to make decisions that are influencing your well-being. Unless you've done a lot of work already. But if you've done the work, you'll be conscious and you'll make the decision anyway. So don't leave it to luck and hope that your senses are making the right decision. Ask yourself, are my senses making the right decisions? But the real topic of this video is the senses reinforce this ego, this separateness. So when the senses make decisions, I always get steak. You're defining yourself further. And when you define yourself like that further, you're reinforcing this illusionary part of yourself that is the pain. I am lonely. I never win. I never feel good. Why me? Notice that all of these statements that people repeat in their minds involve this separate entity. So that's why a lot of times the ego is just a body of pain. So how to overcome the ego? Meditation obviously is a great one for all of these things. The meditation, essentially, you're turning the senses inward. You're shutting down your eyes are inward, you're still, calm, it's silent. See how you're turning the senses this way. You're anchoring in this way. You're changing the direction. When the senses are literally pointing outward, they start to be out of control. They're harder to control when the energy's this way. Through meditation at a prolonged time, after some time, you'll notice that you can have food in your mouth, you can be smelling something, but if you focus in here, the effect isn't as much. So meditation, if it's a problem with your subconscious mind that's causing you to not be able to be in control of many of your senses, you have to work with the subconscious mind. That one's deep. And meditation. So those two topics, other videos you can check out. Other things that can reinforce that you can do for the ego is try not to reinforce it. Don't feed this. Don't feed the ego. It's going to say things like, well, I tell you what, if the Bears don't win, I'm going to be so pissed. And you can say these things because your friends think it's funny. And so because you have this drama that you've been playing, it's like a play. Your friends, oh, Jacob's going to be pissed because the Bears are losing because he loves the Bears. So now you fell into this position within your friends. And so if that's you, now you're feeling bad just to entertain your friends and reinforce that ego. Your friends sometimes are friends with your ego. So then, if you're not upset about the Bears, they say, well, what's wrong with you, Jacob? Well, I feel good. So you may have to address that with your friends or just change. Who cares what they think? And if they leave over changes that you're making for your well-being, then they weren't your friend in the first place. But beware of these things that are locking you in to these definitions of who you are, who you genuinely are, your innate abilities and your innate talents and your passions, that's different than the ego. The ego latches on to things. But your passions and your innate abilities, those spontaneously come through. So those you don't have to worry about. They're going to happen anyway. Sometimes the ego will like to block those. I'm a writer. Sometimes when I go to write, my ego starts to kick up a storm in my mind telling me why I shouldn't write right now. Because it wants to be in pain. It doesn't want to feel good. So if here's your ego, it's not you. Bring it here. You're up here. Watch this happening. Whoa. I just got genuine. Look at this. I'm feeling it in my chest because this person on The Walking Dead just died. First of all, don't get attached to any characters on The Walking Dead. They die all the time. But what I mean, is this. Notice, I am genuinely upset. My day has been altered by this. Why am I so attached? That's even a deeper question. Why are you attached? Then you can start to get at the root of deeper layers of well-being. So please think about this. Maybe not think about it. Just observe your ego. Because everyone has one. It can be a great thing. Yoga is the merging of the ego and the source force. And therefore you're operating as an individual, but you're powered by the source force. So all my bros out there, don't be too much of a bro, because it might cause you an ego problem. Peace.